catering. There's actually catering on the... That seems like the last thing I would ever see on a CGI series. They've actually put a credit in for catering. That's a random one. I just had to throw that in there while we're all here. Hello. Haha. You can tell it's been a week off because I've barely worn any makeup this week. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, creepy friends. Welcome to Nixie Bob's. Guess what? YouTube ain't putting us down because I'm still here. We are going to do something that I said I was going to do the end of last year. We are going to talk about the Thunderbirds Argo lost, taboo, missing, somewhat of a scary thing to do. The episode Inferno, which was not shown last year due to obvious events of the Grenfell Tower fire. Now, at the time, I hadn't seen it. I didn't really know that much about it, and I have just watched it, so I'm looking forward to getting to talk to you guys about it, because to be honest, there's actually a lot to talk about surrounding this, and there was a lot I didn't know about the episode. So we're in London, and this big skyscraper is called the Crystal Spire. It's having its open day. It's being launched. This guy called Yost wants it to be bigger than the one in Dubai. They turn on the lights against advice of a firefighter, and unfortunately it kind of ends up spurting flames. Not very good. And there's visitors and civilians and people inside. Children, oh dear. Fire service try to help but get stuck themselves, so who are you going to call, guys? Only one team of people. It is an Alan and Virgil mission, which is quite nice to see. We had a little bit of old-fashioned fun with Virgil painting Alan in the living room, which pleased me to no end. Kind of wish he'd worn the little beret and the little Mac, but you know, seeing it was lovely moment there. So they're there within minutes, of course, even though they're in the middle of the Atlantic and the fire's in London. And Virgil chops his way in this cool-ass fire suit he's got. I did love that. I did see that in the little promo preview bit. I was like, oh my god, it's a cool fire suit. Wow. I did like it. I did like it. Still has a little green belt, but, you know, nice to see a different outfit. And again, they're thinking through that not all the time the Thunderbird suits are going to protect them from everything, so liked that. Freeze the firefighter, who's under 8 tons of rock but manages to get up scot-free with not a single mark on him or a broken bone. Don't find that totally viable. Virgil then nearly falls into flames himself, but he's saved by the fire chief. We'll repay that debt a little bit later. So now they're kind of trapped in this room, and Alan has to use quite a unique method to get the flames to die down so that they can get out. He uses sound waves. It first comes out as some weird music, but then when he puts the right kind of bass sound on, it starts to clear the flames using vibrations. Can anyone tell me whether this is viable? Because I thought that was such a unique way of doing it. Do tell me. So the 3 firefighters and Virgil then nearly get crushed climbing up a lift shaft. He manages to like force it and stiff it up with his cool little mechanical arm thing. And then they manage to get in the lift and use this electrical battery thing that Virgil's got that the chief wants. So the next step is to work out exactly what they're going to do. So the plan ends up being that they're going to chop the top of the building off, all 7 meters that Yost so wanted, so that he was bigger than the tower in Dubai. Haha. Sorry, Yost, you're going down, boy. So him and the chief go up on their little harnesses and start placing the lasers precariously and in certain locations. Then she nearly falls to her death. Virgil actually has to unclip himself to save this poor lady, so debt repaid there. I said it was coming back. So as they're doing this, the other firemen are getting all the people to safety, and Alan brings down a now podless Thunderbird 2 and removes the top of the skyscraper, that thing. And Yost's very upset about the fact that he now has a much smaller tower than the one in Dubai. Nice little ending of Virgil finding out that Alan accidentally kind of charred the slide of Thunderbird 2 that now needs repaint. It's just damn shame we didn't get to see the end of that painting because Max tinkered with it, and I want to see what Virgil was going to do. Was it going to be abstract like the one in Moving You're Dead? So I've mentioned this about 2 or 3 times now. Yost wants his tower to be 7 meters taller than the one in Dubai. Is he compensating for something? Not to go feminism crazy, but I really appreciated the fact that the fire chief was a woman. As soon as the fire chief started talking, I think her surname was McCready, I knew her voice instantly. And I've had to look her up because, now I know who she was. She was in Hobby City. Can't get over the fact that they had Virgil painting Alan. That's just, I think every vintage fan, everyone's everywhere, saw that and went, if you can't find a door, make one. Why is my memory tingling here? What is That's got to be a link to something. It can't just be like an accidental moment that my mind's remembered something from, right? Is it, tell me guys, is it from something? Because I feel like I'm going a little bit crazy here. Remember when you supercharged the barbecue? My eyebrows have only just grown back. For hilarity purposes, I need to see this episode, please. We're here to rescue you. That's usually my line. What's the evacuation plan? Good question. Thunderbird 2, what's the evacuation plan? A big trampoline's out of the question. Everyone's looking at me, Alan. We could take the top off. Written by Benjamin Townsend. If you wrote the whole script for this, you are a blinking genius, because there is so much funniness in this script in terms of character interaction that it's definitely one of the episodes so far that has made me smile the most, and I just think it was such a brilliant episode for script writing alone. Also I'm going to throw a mention out here to use of the character using on-the-spot initiative. Sometimes in the original series it always seemed like they had the answer straight away and knew what to do. I like the fact that sometimes we're in the field, they kind of have to think of something on the spot and they don't always have the answer. And although I've mentioned it before, I also like the fact that they do make little cock-ups here and there. Virgil nearly falling into the fire, Alan playing some weird music playlist. I really appreciate those little moments that just show you that the team isn't 100% perfect. Imperfection is always one of the best things to show. As an episode, before we discuss the controversy surrounding it, I absolutely love it. It's definitely, I think it's one of my favourites actually. But as I say, the script is fantastic. The actual episode as a disaster and as, you know, something that needing rescue is a very well structured, well thought out, well written, really good episode. I did cover in Hangwoman about how they were going to essentially never show us the episode, and then literally the same day that we'd had the news that it wasn't going to be on the DVD, apparently, is it March 18th they're showing it? I've heard that somewhere, do clarify for me, but I've heard that apparently they are going to show us the episode on British TV. Not sure, let me know. I want definite clarification on that. I do not want to say the wrong information. I've been mildly vocal about this from the start. I've tried to be as neutral as I can be, but there are times, like not putting it on the DVD package, that I've actually sat here and said, I think this is a bit dumb, it's taking it a bit far, and I do, in terms of the DVD, stand by that. With that being said, I didn't realise going into this episode, number one, that it was in London, and number two, that it was about a really tall building that's set on fire. All I knew going into this was that it was about a fire. I didn't know much else about it whatsoever. Having seen what I've seen in this episode now, I can see why there were sensitivity worries. There were even scenes like I saw on the day that Grenfell was happening, where literally there was black smoke coming from it and the whole thing was up in flames. I remember those images very well. They're etched into my mind, and I can see now why the show was extremely worried about showing it. I can actually give them a hand for that and say, I get it. I really do get it. I get why they were concerned. I get why they were worried. I guess also the fact that it is set in London probably isn't an aid to that. I think if it was set somewhere else in a different country, perhaps it might be thought of as different, but because it was a big building on fire, smoky, and in London, it was a definite concern. And I appreciate them now having concern over it. I also think that a show, particularly like TBAG, when it reaches such a wide audience and such a wide age range, can't necessarily shy away from showing something with a fire ever again. It's also really positive as well to show that, especially for anyone who might have been affected, that yes, fires do happen, these disasters do happen, and it's horribly terrifying and horrible to see, witness, or even be part of. However, what I think the important message that came from this episode of TBAG was that everybody was saved, nobody was harmed, but it's a positive message to show that, all right, these things can happen, and when and if they do, it's not always a terrifying event where people lose their lives. The fact that everybody did survive in this episode, as we're kind of coming to expect from TBAG, my baseline here is the fact that people survived must send out a hopeful and positive message to anyone affected by anything like this. In terms of TBAG having made this episode at all, I remember recently across social media, I think it came on Facebook and Instagram, that a single episode of Thunderbirds Argo can take a year to make, up from the planning to the writing to the CGI, the animation, to the voice acting, and then to putting it out. It can take a year. So in terms of them having made this in the wake of it, that wouldn't have happened. They would have made this several moons in advance, having not even considered anything ever happening. So in terms of them being insensitive, don't even consider that. It's a shame that this episode is blacklisted, as I said, the way it is, because it is such a strong episode. But I did want to discuss it with you guys, and having watched it now, I can see why there was concern around it. I love it as an episode. Putting aside anything that's happened and surrounding the controversy, as an episode, it's banging. It's absolutely fantastic. It's so enjoyable. There's so many different parts of this you can appreciate. For me, it's especially the script writing. We've done it. We have covered Inferno with regards to what's going on with YouTube. I'm not going to be taken off the air, but basically, for me, in terms of revenue earning, it's going to be pointless to make anything. It's not going to stop me making anything. The problem I have with it is that even if I make their 100 subs, if I don't make it within the allotted time frame, the problem is that you've then got to be essentially accepted into YouTube's, what I feel now is like a big secret community. That's how it feels. I feel like they've basically said to any small channel, you're not good enough. Even if you make it, we've still got to accept you in. So hope you get in. That's how it feels. If you guys want to help me, the best way you can help me is get people to sub to me before the 20th of February. I think we're on something like 818 now. I've got, at this point in time, 182 subs to go. So if you guys can help me by getting people to sub to me, that's what I need. I've got the viewing hours without a problem, but it's the subs that I need help with. So if you want to help me with subs. That's how you can help me, guys, okay? So thanks everyone for being here and watching Inferno. I hope I've dealt with this in the best way that I physically can. It is not intended to upset, insult anybody. I was trying to do this as best as I could, and I'm trying to appreciate, I obviously had to discuss the controversy, but I wanted you to appreciate this as an episode and not as, you know, an insensitivity disaster. So thanks everyone for being here and watching this. Love to know what you thought about this episode if you have seen it, and I will see everyone for another episode. Remind me what puppet episode I'm doing in the month of Feb, guys, because I really can't remember. It's gone out of my head. I will see everyone again. Bye.